All right, let's just dive right into this, shall we? Welcome to today's Explainer. We're going on a fascinating, slightly meta journey today. We're not just looking at a strategy from the outside, we are actually going to experience it in real time. We're completely unpacking the ultimate blueprint for architecting a viral narrative. It's the ideal retention formula that keeps an audience totally glued to the screen from the very first second to the absolute final frame. So, if you've ever wondered how the best explainers structure their information to be so utterly captivating, well, you are definitely in the right place. So, here's a question for you. How exactly does fame turn a living, breathing human being into a legal fiction? Now, are you kind of curious about the answer? Good, I really hope so, because what I just did right there, that's step one. I just executed the very first phase of our blueprint, the hook. By using this highly specific question from a fascinating case study on the levels of fame, I've instantly created a curiosity gap. We are literally inside the very framework we're analyzing right now. Think about it for a second. Compare a super generic, hello and welcome to my presentation about fame, to a really bold, problem-focused promise. Which one actually grabs you? The rules for this crucial first minute, they're incredibly strict. Be direct, avoid any lengthy or meandering introductions, and focus entirely on the viewer's interest. You have exactly 0 to 15 seconds to prevent your audience from clicking away. It's a make-or-break moment. Which brings us to the introduction phase, where we lay out exactly what we're covering. Today's agenda is simple. First, the crucial first minute. Second, building the foundation. Third, delivering the core value. And fourth, closing the loop. Now, check out this timeline. It's a total bird's eye view of the entire 11-step blueprint from start to finish. And notice the absolute precision here. 0 seconds, that's your hook. Boom. By 15 seconds, you're already in the intro. At 45 seconds, we hit the problem. Context drops right at the 2-minute mark, core content at 4 minutes, carrying all the way through to the end screen at 9 minutes and 40 seconds. This isn't just guesswork, folks. It's a highly structured narrative timeline specifically designed to maximize human attention. So let's jump straight into section 1, the crucial first minute. All right, we're entering the problem identification phase of the blueprint. Now, you might be wondering, why do we need to talk about the problem right after the introduction? Well, it's because defining the current struggle builds an immediate, powerful, emotional connection. I mean, if you ignore audience retention, if you ignore drop-off, your brilliant ideas are basically just being shouted into an empty room. And that is a massively costly consequence. By explicitly stating this pain point, we make the viewer feel understood. We establish relevance right out of the gate. You have a problem, people clicking away from your content, and we're here to solve it. Moving right along, we arrive at section 2, building the foundation. This is where we actually slow the pacing down just a tiny bit to build some essential context. Before we can give you the advanced strategies, we have to provide the background information. Think back to our levels of fame case study. If I had just jumped in and started talking about level 5 visibility, you'd probably be completely lost, right? So we defined it first. Structural fame is where a person's brand becomes an ideological power, literally almost like a corporation. We're moving from basic concepts to advanced ones to totally remove any confusion. You wouldn't build a house without laying the foundation first, would you? If you don't lay this foundation, your audience just won't be equipped to understand the high-level value you're about to give them. Which brings us right to section 3, delivering the core value. Now, what's genuinely fascinating about this phase is the sheer discipline required. This is the core content phase, the absolute meat of your explainer. The blueprint demands that for every single major point you make, you've got to cycle through a very specific matrix. First, you explain the concept, just to set the baseline. Then, you state its importance to build the stakes. Next, you list the benefits to prove the actual value to the viewer. And finally, you provide the application to drive action. It's like a giant puzzle, one perfectly organized idea at a time, maintaining a completely logical flow. But here's the thing, your core value simply cannot just be opinions. Next up comes supporting evidence. Layering in solid pillars, research findings, expert opinions, really precise data points, and industry insights into your narrative dramatically increases your credibility. It completely transforms your explainer from just some casual opinion into a truly authoritative resource. It boosts viewer confidence because they know for sure that you've done the homework. Now, theoretical knowledge is great and all, but let's be real, it's completely useless if your audience doesn't actually know what to do with it. And that is exactly why we move immediately into practical implementation. You absolutely must translate everything into a step-by-step process. Give them a real execution strategy. Highlight those common mistakes they absolutely need to avoid. Your ultimate goal here is to turn their newly acquired knowledge into immediate practical action. And that naturally leads us into our final phase, Section 4, Closing the Loop. As we start to wrap things up, we hit advanced insights. And this is absolutely crucial. You want to reward your most loyal viewers, the ones who've stuck around this far into the explainer, with something genuinely special. Think of it kind of like the post-credit scene in a movie, just for your most dedicated fans. We're talking about hidden factors, advanced strategies, and expert-level optimization. Actually, scratch that. It's more like giving them a VIP backstage pass. By providing this deeper understanding beyond the basics right near the end, you significantly increase the perceived value of your content and completely differentiate yourself from everyone else who just skims the surface. Next up is the summary. So the ultimate key takeaway here is this. The ideal retention formula is a highly deliberate, sequenced journey. You hook them with curiosity, right? Then you ground them with a problem in context. Next, you deliver immense value backed by rock-solid evidence. From there, you provide actionable steps and those advanced insights we just talked about. And finally, you summarize and tell them exactly what to do next. This is it. This is the master blueprint for keeping human attention. And well, speaking of telling you what to do next, we've reached the call to action. The blueprint tells us quite literally, keep it natural, ask for one primary action, explain the benefit of following the channel. So if I were to playfully break the fourth wall right now, this is exactly the moment in the explainer where I'd lean in and tell you that if you want more expertly crafted, visually structured breakdowns of complex topics, you should definitely hit that subscribe button. Finally, we arrive at the end screen. We don't just abruptly fade to black here. We want to leave you with a final, resonant thought. So, thinking back to our initial case study and this incredibly powerful blueprint we've just uncovered together, how will you architect your next narrative to transform your ideas into structural fame? Take these tools, apply the formula, and go build something absolutely unforgettable. Thank you so much for joining me on this explainer, and I'll see you in the next one.